Well, all I can tell you is that the experts know nothing, including myself. And a major reason for that is that basically all we know is what we hear from government approved sources and the mass media, which are basically minions of the government, and even the things that I hear and read. And I subscribe to several international newspapers in Hong Kong and London, and of course, here in the US and others. Uh, you've got to take it all with a grain of salt because in war, it's been said correctly that truth is the first casualty. So don't believe anything.
So, on that note, let's start with the latest developments here. I mentioned Saudi Arabia, and my main question to you is the US dollar in danger here?
Yes, well, it's been an increasing danger for decades, but now it's gotten to a critical level. Look, from the most basic point of view, the US government itself is bankrupt, terminally bankrupt. It can't dig itself out of the hole. In fact, it's digging the hole deeper. The official $31 trillion dollar deficit is being added to at the rate of a trillion and a half a year. So everybody knows, certainly sophisticated people know, that the dollar is a hot potato. The main thing that's holding the dollar up is the fact that its major commodities, oil, which is the world's largest traded commodity, are priced in dollars. If the Saudis and other countries start accepting the yuan instead of the dollar, then what do people need dollars for? This 20 trillion, nobody knows for sure, but that's a good estimate, US dollars outside the US. Right. And if people don't need them to buy commodities, well, they don't need them for anything. And they're going to start unloading them. So yeah, this is a really dangerous situation. And it's not just the Saudis. It's the Nigerians, who are major African oil exporters, are doing the same thing with the Chinese. The Nigerians, the Saudis, don't buy anything from the US, but they buy lots of stuff from the Chinese. So it's perfectly logical.
So if the US dollar's, role and dominance as reserve currency is coming to an end, I mean, what replaces it?
Well, that is the $64 question. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to go back to gold. Look, even the Chinese and the Russians, who are closer now than ever, do most of their trading, I understand, with US dollars, which is crazy. They have to clear those dollars through New York, the homeland of their enemy. You don't use the enemy's currency, for God's sake, or the adversary's currency, if you wish. It's best that they use a neutral currency, one that can't be inflated out of existence, one that can't be closed down at the discretion of some half-crazy pals in Washington, D.C. I mean, Russia's had all of its dollar accounts confiscated or put on ice, as it were. So any country realizes it could happen to them. So the U.S. is shooting itself in the foot by trying to punish the Russians. You might recall that in the 19th century, which was an excellent period of time in world history, there were fewer wars, there was more progress, currencies were sound, governments were tiny. The franc, the mark, the lira, the dollar, these were just names for specific amounts of gold. I think it'll go back to that. Listen, you really don't want government involved in currencies. I mean, gold takes governments out of currencies. You don't have to trust a government if you use gold. So yes, as strange as it sounds, I think the world is going to go back to gold because it's the only, I've said this so many times, but it's worth repeating. It's the only financial asset that's not simultaneously somebody else's liability. And all the world's governments, especially that of the US, are bankrupt. So who wants their liability?
Would there be enough gold to support such a system?
Yes, it just depends on the price of gold. How much gold is there in the world? Well, it's uncertain, but say about 6 billion ounces. And if we do some multiplication, divide the amount of ounces that the US Treasury owns, for instance, which is supposed to be 265 million. If we divide that into the number of dollars outside the US, we come up with a very high price. Divide 265 million into 20 trillion, divide it into the amount of the US debt, if the debt was going to be paid back with the US gold reserves, a huge high number again. That's on the one hand, Danielle, but on the other hand, and I've been long gold since 1971 when I bought my first gold coin. A quarter ounce of gold will buy you an excellent meal in the best restaurant in New York. A quarter ounce of gold will buy you an excellent suit. Not that anybody wears suits anymore. Gold is reasonably priced right now. Let me put it that way, relative to other commodities, relative to stuff in general. It's not cheap. It used to be cheap. It's not cheap anymore. But I think you can go a lot higher because there's going to be a panic into gold.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.